All right, Frank, we had to do a quick edit there to change out memory cards, but you have a question about people wearing masks in the car. Set it up again. You walked outside.
I walked outside because it's been bugging me for a couple of months now.
Yeah.
Where I drive around and I see people wearing masks in the vehicle by themselves. Mm-hmm. And I've even like gone the wrong way, out of my way, I should say the wrong way, to go catch up to them because I want to see like, okay, before I pass judgment, maybe they have a small child in the back. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's someone laying down the seat. Like if I don't see the backrest on the seat, maybe the seat's reclined back. Someone's sleeping in the passenger seat. But lo and behold, it'll be none of that situation. I've even like driven up and people gotten out of their car and I've watched them get out. I'm like, wow, they're all by themselves and they kept their mask on. And I keep thinking in my mind, I'm like, that is the equivalent to jerking off with a condom. Like it's like, who are you protecting?
And we all know how much opposition you have to condoms. Well, okay, so I can't speak for everybody, but I can tell you the only time that this applies to me. So for the last year, I have worn the N95 masks. I mean, I'm hardcore. This right here, this is my casual mask. This is my day off mask that I've got here. Yeah, he's got his N95 over there. So that's what I normally do. Now those things are sealed around the mouth and everything. So because of this incredibly elaborate hairstyle that I have here, I know it looks like it takes no time to put it together, but as you've heard me say before, it takes a lot of effort to look this homeless. So what I have to do is, it's two straps. It's the top and then the bottom, right? So the bottom you put all the way over your head, and then the top comes up like here, right? But if I just put it up top like this, all the hair is going to be matted down. So I actually have a thing I have to do where I basically kind of make a top knot before I put the top strap on. Then I put the top strap behind the top knot. Then I let the top knot go so that it falls freely.
So it's quite a process for you to put your
It is a process. So I can tell you, there have been times where I'm like, okay, I'm all situated here, and it's going to be a 3-minute drive to the next place I'm going. So I may just leave this on as opposed to dealing with it. But I'm also working in it all day. Like, I've gotten very used to those. So and I mean, I'm sure everybody would prefer to not have one as opposed to have one, but it hasn't bugged me in the way that it's bugged a lot of folks. So it's probably as close to being a coal miner as I'll ever come, but just having some sort of apparatus that you're working in all day long.
Yeah, and honestly, the whole mandate of if that's what it helps people to be healthier, to wear masks, doesn't bother me. Mm-hmm. The only part that really has gotten under my skin and has pissed me off is that, let's say you own a coffee shop. Mm-hmm. I walk in the coffee shop and I don't want to wear a mask. So you start getting in a fight with me because you have to enforce the rule that the health ordinance and whatnot has said that you have to, I have to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. So now you're putting yourself in a confrontation of dealing with me, who might be angry, fed up, who knows. You're being put in a confrontational position that you shouldn't have to be put in, right? Mm-hmm. Now, let's say you go ahead and you just sit there and go, hey, sir, you don't have your mask on. You remind me, I go, I ain't going to wear one. And I show you that I'm one of those assholes that's just not going to put one on. I think you should be allowed to go about your day. Okay, well, I asked, I did my job. But that's just not how it works. They all of a sudden, let's say somebody from the government walks in, they see this altercation occur. You go ahead and ask me to put my mask on. I don't put my mask on. You want to avoid any kind of bad news, so you just go ahead and serve me so I get it out of there as fast as possible to avoid the confrontation. Who gets the ticket?
The business owner.
The business owner gets the ticket.
But so here's...
See what I mean? But I have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. You're asking high school kids. You're asking women. You're asking men that might not be confrontational to confront people that have shown that not wanting to wear a mask are not probably the most easygoing of individuals. If they've made a stance where they're like, screw you, I'm not putting a mask on, they're angry, they're at their limit, and now you are putting those two people on a collision course, and you're not even really punishing the person who should be punished. You're punishing the business owner. Once again, you're going after the person because you know that you can afford them to pay the ticket or shut them down. That's the part about this whole thing that I've been most irate about.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll play the other side of that, which is, as somebody who's taken this very seriously, it is important for me to feel safe in every public scenario that I can be in, at least as best I can. I mean, the old, well, you can walk across the street and get hit by a car. Yeah, I know. But we're talking probabilities here. So within reason, I like the fact that the health inspector comes by the restaurant, and that way I don't have to try to peer behind the counter absolutely.
I
So I use this analogy because I have seen a lot of people make the argument of, well, look, if you want to wear a mask, you stay home. You can stay home. You can live in fear, et cetera, et cetera. I've seen that Candace Owens make that argument, who I had never heard of before all this. That's one thing the pandemic has turned me on to, is the couple of QAnons that I follow are always mentioning her. But I saw her make this point. But see, that's the antithesis of logic. Because, and let me use an analogy. If you've got a broken down old bass boat on a trailer parked in your front yard, I don't care if that thing has current tags on the trailer. Don't care. It's not going anywhere. It's just sitting in your front yard. That's you staying home because you don't want to pay the taxes. But if you're going to hitch that thing up to your car and drive it around the freeway where I might be coming up behind you, I need to know those taillights work.
Well, no, I agree with you 100%. On this subject,
Yeah.
is the equivalent of drinking and driving. If I sit at a bar and you go like, hey, I'm going to get blitzed out of my mind, and it's my choice if I want to drink or not, I'm like, that's fine, but my wife or my daughter might be on the road and your choices are going to affect them. So this whole argument you're making, I'm 100% on board. The whole stay at home if you don't want to wear a mask, I don't agree with that either. I don't buy into it.
Okay.
But I think that's still different from what I'm saying, where I'm like, why are we punishing businesses or put in a situation where a business owner, some girl at Starbucks, I think that the only requirement, like at the gym, I'm friends with the owner. I feel bad for the guy because he has to run around constantly, hey, you got to put your mask on. And he doesn't even really care about masks. But he knows that if they walk in and see people with no masks on, he can't sit there and go, hey, you can look at the cameras. I asked them to put a mask on. They said no. We've had people get shot over this. You have women getting their asses beat over this.
Yeah.
And now the government, my state, is saying, no, it's your responsibility to put a mask on her. That'd be like me, once again, if you were to go ahead and not have your seatbelt on in the car. Should I then cut you off in traffic, pull you off the road, and say, hey, man, you need to have your seatbelt on? Like, people would think I was crazy.
Well, right, but then there's a reason why I'm required to wear the seatbelt to begin with, to keep your insurance costs down.
Right, but again, it's not my responsibility to enforce that rule.
Okay.
Just like it's not my responsibility if we're all at a bar drinking and you're getting blitzed and you start walking out to the car, all I'm going to do is go, hey, 311 non-emergency number, yeah, there's a guy, black hair, looks like a rocker. He's had way too much to drink. His license plate is XYZ, and he looks like he's heading northbound on, Sahara. Or boom, done.
But
but if I confront you, that's a choice I have to make. But what the government has basically said that if I don't confront you, I'm in trouble.
Yes, but
do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, but the logic behind that is that we're trying to avoid something that's airborne.
No, I get that, but I'm saying once again, the way we went about it is wrong.
Okay, maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying.
So I'm saying my problem is that we give tickets to businesses for people not wearing a mask in the business.
Yeah.
That's my issue with the masks. Because say you walk into a restaurant, no, let's say me. I walk into your restaurant, you're serving, and I'm like, I ain't putting a mask on. I'm sat down. No, say I came in with a mask. I've already ordered my food. Can't really do nothing about it now. You can, I feel, if you want to call the cops, call the cops. Or B, you've done your due diligence as a business owner to ask me to put my mask on. And if you look over me, a 275 professional fighter, and you're like, I don't want to fucking engage with this guy. But what I'm saying is the way we are right now, you have to engage with me.
Yeah.
You have to force me to put the mask on because when the hammer comes down, your business will be shut down and fined.
Well, that's true. I just don't think, I think it can't be up to the individual business, just like it can't be up to the individual business whether or not to...
But it's not up to the individual business. I'm saying it shouldn't be required that I have to force you. It shouldn't be my responsibility.
Oh,
you understand that?
But
you're not getting.
I'm still not. Let me ask a couple of questions.
Yeah, let's ask
this up for. Okay, so are you saying that as the business owner that you should have the prerogative whether or not to require masks. Okay, not that.
Not saying you should have the prerogative. I should say that your requirement, your responsibility as the business owner is to go, hey, sir, I'm working at Walmart. You walk in. Hey, sir, do you have a mask? And you go, fuck off. I've done my job. That's all I had to do. Hey, sir, do you have your mask? You know you need to wear a mask? I'm not wearing a mask. Fuck you. And then you walk past me. That's it. I've done my job.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking you to wear a mask. And you might be somebody who just, I've done that. I've actually walked on the plane and, sir, do you have your mask? Oh, sorry, ma'am. I was talking. I forgot to pull my mask up. Boom, done. Some people are forgetful. But as of right now, that's not what happens. Because of the way the regulations are written, Walmart will get in trouble with that guy walking around with no mask on. People are going to be videotaping and wanting to find Walmart. So you put Walmart employee in a position to have to confront somebody that doesn't want to wear a mask. And now you have these confrontations, and you can go on YouTube right now. There's millions of these confrontations where people are fighting with other people about, you got to wear your mask. I don't think that's a person's responsibility. Just like I think that would cut down a lot of anger and a lot of resentment. If it's like, hey, you got to put your mask on because that's the rule, and I'll follow the rule as a business owner, but I don't think it's my job to physically have to enforce the rule upon you. If you're going to show me, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm following the rule. I'm wearing my mask. I asked you to wear your mask, and you say fuck off. Where do we draw the line?
Well, I think there has to be one standard that we all adhere to. And if we say that it's going to be that in public, in enclosed spaces, businesses, there's going to be a mask rule, which in many states there has been for a good length of time now, that somebody's got to be held ultimately culpable for that.
Correct.
So here's the thing. Without mentioning the name of the business, so I work in a business where we have to make sure people are wearing masks all the time. Because it's Las Vegas, we get tourists. So we get people coming from all around the country, and when we get the people that come from a state that they don't make a big deal out of it as much, Texas, something like that, sometimes you will run into some resistance. Right. But as somebody who deals with them, it's a short conversation. Because when you want to tell me about CDC guidelines and the way it is in your state, and actually it's not required, I just look at you and go, yeah, that's not what we're doing here. Sorry. I mean, I understand maybe that's somewhere else, but that's not what we're doing here. It's no different than, I'm sorry, you have to have a tie on to come in here. And you can not want to wear the tie, but that means you can't come in. So, and then when the compliance people, and we were visited by those folks, the ones that have to go around the city and all this, they looked at us and they're like, this is the safest place in the whole city. They're like, they said, listen, you're not going to see us again because we have to go places where we actually have to fight tooth and nail to get, like you said, business owners to police their situation. Well, I don't know. I just have not found that it's been a difficult thing to police. And what I have heard is...
But I can go on the internet right now and show you, you got the guy at the dollar store, he got shot over it.
Yeah, but listen,
and you have situation after situation of hostess, waitress, waiter getting into physical altercations and fights with customers. Because, sir, you got to put your mask on. We're not going to serve you if you don't put your mask on. We're not See, I think that's too far. But it's like, sir, you have to wear your mask. No, I'm not going to wear your mask. Okay. Hey, do you want your eggs over easy or do you want them scrambled? Like, to me, that's where the conversation stops.
But what about me when I'm sitting next to them?
Then you get up and leave.
Yeah, but see, now we're back to, hey, if I want to live in fear and wear the mask, I can sit
call the police. What I'm saying is that the responsibility, and we can figure out who that person's supposed to be, but that person making minimum wage should not be responsible to force that person to put a mask on.
Yeah, but that's also the person making minimum wage who has to cut somebody off if they've had too much to drink. Why should that be their job?
Well, I mean, it's easier to cut someone off as far as alcohol than it is to force the people with the mask.
But forget easier for a second. Just talk about the principle of it.
Well, and they'll cut them off, and if they go to fight with them, they just call the police. I worked at a bar. That's all.
Yes, but the bar. Why shouldn't it be up to the bar to just say, "Hey, I told you you've had too much to drink. You still want more? Okay, I tried."
Well, because then we're still providing a service. We're still pushing farther. So at that point, the confrontation can still be eluded where I stop back, go, hey, look, I'm not going to, we're going to call the police.
But I'm still allowing a behavior that's putting the general public at risk if I do that.
Yeah, I can see your point there, but I still feel that a bartender is trained and he got into that job understanding that that's part of his job description. The minute he signed up to be a bartender, you went to your bartending school, that's why they go to have to get their license. There are people now that are doing jobs that they never signed up to do to begin with, don't have any proper training. The bartender's at least trained on how to identify, how to talk to people, and they have experience now from doing the job for years. That waitress at fucking Denny's that has no experience, no training, nothing.
All true.
She's given no weapons, no tools, except for the hammer falls on you.
Well, now that is true. Now that being said, there's a lot less training that goes into making sure somebody has a mask on as opposed to when to tell how many drinks per hour they've had and when that means they're likely drunk. Also, things change. So, for example, recreational marijuana use. Different places may have policies about just because there's a legal dispensary down the corner, do we allow or can we allow marijuana use in this place or not? Like a lot of times that's the answer is going to be no. Just because you can buy it legally at a dispensary doesn't mean you can walk into
This is
TGI
still
Friday.
a private choice to choose what they want to do.
But that's not a private choice. Like you can't smoke pot in the middle of TGI Fridays just because it's legal at a dispensary down the street. So it's going to be that business's responsibility to say, sir, I know you just bought that marijuana legally, but you can't smoke it in here because there is a citywide non-smoking ordinance. So if the person goes, nope, screw you, I'm going to smoke it, it's not okay for them to go, well, I tried, because now they can be written a ticket.
Tried, but they step back, they can just call the police.
Well, they can, but they can call the police over any of it, just like they could call the police on the mask policy.
Right, and then I think that way they dump all responsibility that it's not their problem anymore. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying I don't think the responsibility should fall on them. Now, if that person sits back and calls the police that a guy's smoking a joint at his table, please show up. Should the business be fined?
No, not if they call the police.
So with the mask situation, it should be the same thing.
Okay, but that's not what you're saying.
No, I'm saying that is what I'm saying. The responsibility should not be on the business owners.
Well, okay, if they followed through, I don't think
that's what
you're saying. I don't think they're going to wrestle them out the door.
Hey, buddy, you got to wear your mask. I'm not going to mask. I did my job. He's not wearing a mask. Call the proper authorities.
Okay, but I don't tell. Yeah, as long as you're calling the authorities.
That's fine. We didn't call the proper authorities. And I think that completely should wash the business of any responsibility.
Yeah, but I think we're doing that anyway. Because here's the thing. If somebody, okay, so let me go back to my employment situation. Somebody does, and it's interesting we're talking about this because I have not had any kind of problem where we've actually okay, we're going to call the police or something like that. But we have had people where we've had to say, I'm sorry, we'll give you your money back. You just can't be here because you want to adhere to the mask policy. But let's say somebody said, nope, I'm standing my ground. I'm coming in here. You're not going to stop me. I'm not wearing a mask. That's kind of what the scenario you're talking about. Then at that point, if I call the police and I say, listen, we have asked someone to kindly leave because they will not adhere to the mask policy, they won't do it, will you come make them leave? Cops aren't giving us a ticket when they show up. They're just threatening to arrest that person. But that's already the case.
Not really.
Well, in that situation,
I've seen gyms get shut down because they have patrons wearing, and they're like, we told the guy to wear his mask, and the guy keeps pulling his mask down.
And they called the cops, and when the cops showed up, they wrote him a ticket?
Well, I don't know if they called the police at that point, so I don't want to detail on that part of the story.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. If it's you being proactive, it's one thing. But if the inspectors happen to come in and go, what's the deal with the guy with the mask? And they go, well, we tried, we told him he won't wear it. That's different. That's different because at that point, you just stopped. That's somebody, smoking a cigarette in your restaurant.
Well, I guess that all we have to do, my part about it is make it to where there's an intermediate area that they just have a number they call. Hey, we called, this guy's not wearing his mask. You guys want to do something about it, do something about it.
Yeah, and I think...
I just don't think it should be the responsibility of the business owner.
Well, I think it depends on how responsible the business owners be. If the business owner, they're not going to call the police and then have the charges levied against them.
But think about a situation when you've had to talk to certain customers.
Yeah.
Who do they send out to talk to them?
Me.
Mm-hmm. Because you're good at it. They have you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does every store have a Richard?
No.
What do they do in those situations?
Well, they probably go with the closest they have.
Right?
But
and then we have confrontations and issues. And then people are getting hurt over a situation that's like, well, shit, what were they supposed to do?
Okay, but if you are someone who was involved in a physical confrontation, shooting, stabbing, whatever, over this, you were an outlier to begin with. Yes, maybe this brought this to the surface, but it's not like you were some rational human being until the mask came along. Like, this is just what made you snap. So
we have a lot of those people.
Yes, but there are other things that could cause that, right? There are other, like if I'm, if it was the the 1950s and people were smoking cigarettes everywhere, and all of a sudden we said no smoking anywhere. I mean, that is something that over a long period of time had to be fought out and pushed and pushed. So, if all of a sudden somebody goes, if you're not stepping on my rights, I'm going to smoke this cigarette here, and then he shoots somebody, the issue isn't the cigarette. The issue is the guy who shot him.
Just because you brought up the point I was making.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in a restaurant and someone's behavior is unsafe next to me,
yeah,
right, and the store owner is not, I would just leave. That's my mentality. Like, for example, if I'm at a table with my family and a bunch of young kids start smoking weed right next to me, right? And the store owner goes and asks them and does, hey, sir, you can't smoke. Ah, fuck you, we're going to smoke anyways. And walks off. I'm not going to get involved.
Oh,
I'm
well,
not
that's
going to
true.
store.
I wouldn't. Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to get up and leave. I'm like, honey, we'll get the check. Let's get out of here. Obviously, this is a bad situation.
Well, I would leave because I would feel unsafe. However, I would not. I would have a meeting with the store manager. I did this in my grocery store, my neighborhood grocery store. I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. I was coming in. And, it's tough enough anyway. People don't pay attention about which way to go up and down the aisles and all that. I get that. And people don't always think about staying there 6 feet away. Again, the thing about the 6 feet, let me just say this real quick. I don't mind if that is a general rule, kind of stays in place. If people just give each other space. I'm not talking about friends or family or whatever, maybe even somebody you stop to talk to. But just this general idea that maybe now we're a little more respectful of people's space. I don't know that ATM distance. I don't know that's necessarily a bad thing. But anyway, I was in the grocery store. They had a kid at the front door, and he's asking people, you have a mask, whatever, if you're not wearing one when you come in. Okay, so I walk in, and there's a guy in a scooter, like a wheelchair kind of thing. And he comes in, he's in front of me, but he drives right past the kids. And I assume they said something. Oh, in fact, I did. I heard them say something to him. They said, do you have a mask? He said no. They said, okay, will you go to customer service and get one? Well, I see him drive up to the customer service, but the customer service is halfway through the store. So after I'm doing my shopping and everything, and he clears the customer service desk, I go up to the customer service desk and I said, hey, I know we have a mask policy, and this fella came in and all that. And I said, does the kid at the door, does he not have the mask? And they said, well, no, we have him here at the customer service desk. And I said, well, the customer service desk is halfway into the store. Why don't you give them to the kid at the door so that he puts it on before he comes in? And I swear this manager looked at me and went, huh, yeah, that makes, yeah, okay, I guess, yeah, that makes sense. But the fact that we were having that, that's the thing, is you're dealing with a lot of that kind of thing just out in the general. I mean, how many times during just an average day, even before COVID, do you just shake your head at somebody like, what the hell was this guy thinking? There's just a lot of that goes on. Yeah. And then everything becomes, here's another problem. These things are tangible. I can hold them in my hand. When you want to talk about freedoms that are in jeopardy, I can write you a whole long list that are invisible. You can't hold them in your hand, and that's a lot of times why they're the easiest to take away, because you can't see them. But if you make it about something I can hold in my hand, right? Like, training wheels on your bike. Let's go back to when you're a kid. I can point to the fact you still have those, and I don't have them. So that means I'm riding a bike like a man, and you still have those on, or whatever the case may be. People fixate on that, and make no mistake, people that are in positions of power recognize that kind of thing, and they love it whenever they can weaponize something. One side or the other, whenever they can make this about, it's not really about this mask. It's just about using some good common sense. Hey, we're hearing there's something in the air. Hey, maybe we don't even know, maybe history shows way down the line that it was a different reality than what we were concerned. Because remember, like, for the longest time, we were worried about touching stuff, right? Like we were wiping up every single surface for the longest time, and then that kind of went by the by. But it didn't mean that somebody was an idiot for doing it. It just meant that, hey, they heard this might be a thing, so we're doing this until we hear that that's actually not as transmissible as we thought. And
you feel safe though, right?
Do I? Like right now?
Like if I were to go wrestle with somebody now that had COVID, wouldn't even make me stop.
So are you asking me would I feel safe doing that? Well, I would feel safe now that I'm vaccinated, I think.
I'm not vaccinated.
Yeah, I would definitely not have done that before I was vaccinated.
Really? Even though you're a healthy 46, 47, 46.
50, buddy.
You're 50.
Yeah.
I won't add the time to it. 50-year-old guy.
Yeah.
You're healthy.
Yeah.
Statistically, very small, minute chance that you would get sick.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Certainly a good survival rate, but I don't even want to get it. But I don't want to get, here's the thing. I wouldn't wrestle with somebody that had the flu. Like, we don't like that guy in jiu-jitsu. We've known that guy, haven't we? The guy that shows up with the flu and then everything.
I'm not saying that I'm going to go out of my way to point. If someone says, hey, I'm not feeling well, I'm like, we don't roll around together. But I don't immediately, if someone goes and calls me the next day, go, hey, man, we were rolling yesterday and I just found out I got the flu. You might be careful, take your vitamin C. I'm like, I don't immediately go, oh my God, the end of the world. I think that'd be my same approach with COVID. If someone goes, hey man, so-and-so came up positive at the gym, I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, here's the thing. I would still think my odds were good. I wouldn't be right in my will necessarily.
Yeah, I'm not going to go stand in the traffic.
Right. But here's the thing. I would quarantine myself, and the reason I would have to do that is because even though I'm healthy, if I am carrying this thing, especially if I'm asymptomatic, you might have old grandpa living at your house. I don't want to pass that to you and then you get it to him and then something happens to him. I just think there's so many unknowns about it that there's nothing wrong with just saying, look, till we get this thing figured out, everybody's going to come together. We're gonna work within the parameters as best we can to try to prevent it.
Hey Ron, if you open up that can, there's a little beanbag, like metal thing. Keep turning. Yep, open it up. It's like a discipline. It's on a leash. You see like a leash in there? Perfect. Walk that towards her. You just got to show it to her. She'll stop barking.
Is that
I have no idea why. What's that?
Is that the food?
No, it's these little things that when we train the dogs, you throw it on the ground and it makes a noise. It scares them. Oh. And for whatever reason, see how she just flew up on top of me? They weigh 2 pounds. I've never touched them in my life. No one's ever hit them. But that little beanbag, see how she shut up?
Yeah.
Because that one just doesn't shut up. So you grab the beanbag and she just shuts up.
Interesting. Don't want any part of the beanbag. Right? Maybe next fight you need to come in waving one of those beanbags and
it works on small dogs.
Psych them out before the fight even starts. So no, we could have gotten rid of this thing a lot sooner than we did if we wouldn't have had as much resistance to a lot of things as we did. And I'm not talking about, it's certainly impacted a lot of businesses and all that kind of thing. And I think the government could have done way more to support those businesses. This shows you another thing too. We are not prepared for this sort of thing. Even as I think, I still have my life. I still have my house. I still have my family. Everything is good. But I don't think we were really prepared for this sort of thing to happen.
I just think that it goes back to what I was saying earlier about perception and reality. We have a perception in this country that all of us are equal.
Yeah.
And that's not the reality.
I don't have that perception.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do.
Yes.
The reality of the thing is that not all of us have access to the same kind of health care.
Right.
And guess what? It's impossible, I think, with 360 million people for that to be the case. I don't think anybody's going to ever show me a plan that you're like, hey, we can have everybody have access to everything. No, it's never going to work. You're always going to have the haves and have-nots.
Sure.
Because, if you look at you name any culture in the world, any society, I'd be like, well, there's somebody at the bottom of the rung and there's somebody at the top. And there's layers in between.
It's my argument for government health care. The wealthy will always afford the best. There is a reason why when a new Walmart opens up, Neiman Marcus does not get nervous. It does not affect them in the least. They are going to keep on being Neiman Marcus. Now, the mom and pop next to Walmart, they get nervous because they're competing for the same people. In fact, all the people at that mom and pop are going to end up working at the Walmart after they undercut them on all the prices, swallow them up, and cause their business to go under. But not the people at Neiman Marcus. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I was under no delusions about the idea that everyone's but that's not the feel-good story. The feel-good story we like to tout is that everything is available to you. You can do anything in this world you want to.
I hate when people have people that.
Yeah, I agree.
False sense of it sets false goals and objectives. When you let people know at a young age that they can do anything they want to do, no, you can't.
Yeah, I completely agree with
You're very
that.
limited on what you're able to do. Not limited on everybody, but some of us are going to be capable of being rock stars, and most of us won't.
Yeah, the best thing you can have, I think, universally, is an education. Because people are mostly stupid, I think.
100%.
And a lot of people are born into disadvantageous circumstances, but way more than that, make the conscious decision to remain that way. And so if you educate yourself, it's also a lot less scary, I think. It's like that old saying, ignorance is bliss. There's you don't have to use deductive reasoning. You just put your blinders on and march straight ahead.
The more aware I become of the world, the more nervous I get.
Yeah, 100%. But
anxiety sucks.
Right. But I do think that if you'll pursue your educated self, that you at least have that advantage on a lot of people, I think. That's the best that you can do for yourself. Good. All right. Let me ask you, since we've got your fight coming up April 17th with Steve Cunningham now on the co-main event of the Triller card that's going to be headlined by Ben Askren and Jake Paul. We've had another MMA legend announce that he's going to be stepping into the boxing ring. You heard about Anderson Silva?
No, I didn't hear it yet.
Anderson Silva is going to fight Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I knew Julio Cesar was training again. I heard through the network. Mm-hmm. That I thought he was getting ready to do like a Hector Camacho was the fight.
So that is going to be on the undercard. Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.
Oh, that's what I heard.
Who is in his 60s, is going to fight the son of Hector Camacho.
Oh, so that fight is being made. Okay, geez.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So, what do you think about... that's something that was talked about forever with Anderson Silva. He has had a couple of boxing matches, but it was always talked about him and Roy Jones Jr. You're setting a trend here.
Yeah,
how many more of these guys are we going to see do this?
I think that's going to be a super interesting fight. I'd like to see Anderson get in there and box. I think he'll do extremely well.
Now, Oscar De La Hoya is saying he wants to do this. He wants an MMA fighter who... I was bouncing hypotheticals with the MMA Junkie guys on this the other day. So I have a fighter in mind for Oscar De La Hoya to fight. Can you think of one off the top of your head that you think would be good in this, a recognizable MMA name? Anybody come to mind?
Chris Lytle.
Good one. Yep, good one. Do you think, though, that Chris, at this point, no disrespect to him, but would be enough of a recognizable MMA name, having been away for as long as he has?
Well, yeah, there might be that argument to be made.
Because they're going to look for somebody that when the average person hears him, they're going to go, "Ooh, I watched his cage." I've fairly recently seen his cage fights. So Goes over at MMA Junkie, he came up with Tyron Woodley because Woodley's contract just expired. He's out of the UFC. That's an interesting one. I think I have a better one. You ready? Nick Diaz.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Because here's a guy, the Diaz brothers, both of them are inactive. Nick even more so than Nate. Nate actually just got a fight signed. He's going to fight Leon Edwards, which was a bit of a surprise for some people. But he's got his next UFC fight booked. But nobody's known what's gone on with Nick for a long period of time now. But
was his last fight the Anderson fight?
I think so, yeah.
What, 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah, but you're talking about a guy who's still a big enough name, a boxer, a guy who's had some great boxing in the UFC, and can help sell a fight. You got the Hispanic thing, him and Oscar De La Hoya. I think that, and the size matches up, more or less. They can kind of come in at the same weight that they agree on. So I think that one makes a lot of sense.
It's funny, I keep getting people asking me, do I feel like You know, because these MMA guys, you know, us are making the transition and going into the boxing world to face boxers. We feel like we're carrying, you know, boxing on, you know, MMA on our shoulders, and honestly, like I keep trying to explain this, we've already won.
Yeah.
I mean, I've already won the bout. You know what I mean? Like I tell people, like every time you see an MMA guy faced with a boxer in a boxing match, we can compete with them in boxing. And, and you look at Conor. He went 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, the greatest boxer of all time, right? Because there's no boxers coming over and doing MMA with us.
Yeah.
It wouldn't last one round.
I don't think
there's no boxer in the world that can last 3 minutes with me in an MMA fight.
Right. Yeah, and that's why, apart from James Toney, we have not seen that. Yeah, we have not seen that.
He didn't make it one round.
Yeah, no, the MMA fighters win the actual fight. The boxers, however, still win the money fight. They still win the actual monetary negotiations. And that's because there are multiple competing promoters in boxing. Yeah, that's the only reason.
Yeah, the UFC screws all the fighters.
Yeah, no, but
bottom line.
Yeah, but that's why, because there's
because I looked at that. I looked at some of the numbers, some of the pay-per-views where guys have made money.
Yeah.
And, oh, this guy made $30 million, and I look at like, oh, my pay-per-view with Brock made more than that. I didn't even make a 30th of that.
Right, but there was no competition. Right. You know, it's the Walmart of MMA. I mean, that's just the fact. That's the way it is. And you know, the downside of that is that once you do get competing promoters involved, it takes forever to get the match together that you want to see. Look at what Tyson Fury's doing right now with Anthony Joshua. You know, okay, it's on. Well, you said we hit a snag. Okay, I think it's back on. Hold on. Wait, now we're talking to Deontay Wilder. Okay, now that one didn't get set. Okay, now we're back to Anthony. That whole thing happens because of competing promoters. All right, well, let's put a wrap on this one, Frank. It's been good to be back together.
Yeah, that's cool.
I like being able to.
As long as we got to hang out and talk in person in a long time.
That's right. Look you in the eye and do our little back and forth here. All right. Well, let's just keep it going. Why don't we do it again next week?
Sounds good, man.
All right. When are you leaving? Are you going to do the thing where you go out like a week ahead of time to?
So next Wednesday will be the last time we tape.
Okay. Very good. The last time we tape with you as a 0-0 boxer. Last time we taped.
The last time before I become an official professional boxer.
That's right. Okay, very good. All right, well, actually, Frank, tell everybody about Mitrospect, American Shaman. In fact, you, true to the brand, you even served me in the Mitrospect coffee mug here, which was white. This is one of those things that heat changes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
That's cool, right?
All right. Yeah, the folks at Mitrospect and the folks at American Shaman.
Yeah, if you go on beAmericanShaman.com, you go on there, you'll see all the products that my daughter and I both use religiously and preach about the CBD. Very high quality. It's great stuff, and it's streamlined. The website's super easy to use. Check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed.
All right. PhoneBoothFighting.com has all the promo codes for that, too, if you need any of that. And for Frank Mira, I'm Richard Hunter. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Phone Booth Fighting, if you haven't already. And tell a friend about the podcast. It really does help us grow this thing. We appreciate you. All right. We'll see you right back here next time on Phone Booth Fighting.